I'm Bjørn Einar Bjartnes. I'm a SharePoint developer with Computas in Oslo, and I'm here with some friends of mine to present the Arctic SharePoint Challenge, which is like a 3-day hackathon that we're doing to build SharePoint solution. And maybe you can introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I'm Unni. I'm also a SharePoint developer, and I work at Beck Consulting.
I'm Carsten Koitman, and I'm a SharePoint MVP and work as a developer and architect. This year I was a jury on the Active SharePoint Challenge.
So the challenge is really, as I said, a 3-day hackathon. We bring consultants together and IT pros, SharePoint developers together to have a friendly competition. They try to build awesome solutions, or they actually do build awesome solutions. And we share and we have fun and we encourage each other to try new things and experiment with the product. And for me, it's been like a great team building event. I've been building my own SharePoint team, which in my company is stronger through this thing.
Yeah, and it's a competition. So we're gathered there in teams of 4 to 5 people. And we compete against each other, but we also encourage to share. We also encourage to learn, to try new stuff. And we have this badge system that we are using so that the judges walk around amongst us evaluating what we do, and they hand out badges. And the one with the most badges at the end win a great big trophy. And we have an example, we have the Canvas King badge, and we have the hacker badge, even though we don't encourage too much hacking, but we can see some cool stuff. And we also have a community sharing badge, so we encourage people to share. And we would really like to see more SharePoint communities around the world do the same thing that we do.
This year I was a judge on the Active SharePoint Challenge together with Sahil Malik and Helge Hansen from Microsoft. It's been a very great experience being a judge on this event, because it enables you to give a lot of back to the community, helping the teams out with their projects, and also in getting a lot of feedback from the teams and seeing what the stuff they are doing. And it's very innovating, seeing integration with other devices like Kinect. And it's really, I know for a fact that some of the projects the teams did this year actually ended out in the business cases for some customers. So it has been very great, and I can only encourage other MVPs to join this event and being a judge. I think that is a huge opportunity to learn a lot of stuff. Thank you.
And for next year, we have Carsten yet again with us, and also Sahil Malik is with us next year. And we're looking for more MVPs to be judges and maybe give talks so that we can learn from the community as well.
We would also like to reach out to the other SharePoint communities around the world and encourage people to try to establish similar hackathons around the world. And we would really like to help and assist you if you want to do something like that. We have a website, the arcticsharepointchallenge.com. There's a Twitter account. We have our mascot, Dexter. He's at @SPChallenge, and we have a hashtag ASPC2013. So, feel free, reach out to us, and we can help you get going as well. So, thanks for watching us.
Yeah, thank you.
Are we going in any particular order?
Mm-mm. Hello and welcome back again to SharePoint Television. My name is Karuana Gatimu and I work for Microsoft IT in the Discovery and Collaboration Group. I'm lucky to be here today with some of the greatest folks that I know in the SharePoint community, and these are the Women of SharePoint. I'm happy to be here, and in case you're not here live at the segment as we're taping, you can catch highlights from this on Channel 36 in your room later on. So right now I'd like to introduce you to these amazing folks. Ladies, welcome. Thanks to the Women in SharePoint panel.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad you're here. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the folks who may not know you.
My name is Kathy Du. I am a SharePoint MVP, a consultant at Planet Technologies, and one of the founding members of the Women in SharePoint group. I'm also the national board leader for Women in SharePoint. So it's really exciting to be a part of it.
guest, and we're so glad that you're here.
Yes.
We love Women in SharePoint. Susan?
I'm Susan Lennon. I work for Microsoft Consulting Services. I'm a senior consultant on the Navy team, and I'm a founder of SharePoint Saturday, and I've been running a user group for 17 years, and I'm involved with women in all kinds of technology for lots of years. So I'm glad to be here too.
Great, thanks Susan. Debbie?
My name's Debbie Ireland and I'm from New Zealand. I'm a SharePoint MVP and I run the Asia Pacific SharePoint portal, www.sharethepoint.com, and organise conferences down that way. So, yeah.
That's excellent. Well, I think this is the first year that Microsoft has put so much effort into the community aspect of the SharePoint community, but all of us have been involved in it, for quite some time. So, Kathy, do you want to tell us a little bit about how Women in SharePoint came to be, the organization?
Certainly. When I started out working in IT, I actually transitioned over from working in advertising, and I was surprised when I came into the SharePoint community. My dad had been a computer science professor, so I was fairly used to having a low number of females in it. And when I joined into the SharePoint community, I was really surprised by the number of females that were in the industry and how supportive they were, and people encouraging me to participate in the community and become active. So myself, along with a few other people, Becky Isserman, Lori Gowan, and a few others, decided that it might be great to form a Women in SharePoint group, much based off the Women in Technology groups, but with a little bit more SharePoint focus because there are so many different roles, and that's kind of where it started from.
That's really great. And how long has that been now?
We've been working on it for 3.5 years.
3.5 years. I was going to say 3 or 4 years. Yeah,
Yes.
lot of work goes into that. And Susan, I know you do so much work with SharePoint Saturdays as well as women in technology in general. What do you see about the women who are in this industry that's a little bit different than what you might encounter in other parts of the technology sector?
Well, the first thing that's most obvious is just the numbers, and maybe because it's a collaborative tool. But there's also so many different avenues, so you don't have to be just pure IT pro or pure dev. There's design, business users, end users. It's so wide, and SharePoint's such a broad product. It opens up the avenue to a lot more people. So I think that helps, but you can definitely see the difference if you go to a True Code camp or Tech Ed or SharePoint Conference. And the number of women, as you get to SharePoint, just explodes compared to many of the other IT conferences and organizations that are out there. So that's encouraging too.
It's very true, and it is encouraging. It's great to see that we have a home and we have a place. What do you see on the international stage, Debbie? I know that's from a wonderful place.
Definitely SharePoint compared to, I go to the Microsoft Tech Ed events in Australia and New Zealand, and I think they get less than 5% female attendance there, and at all the events that we manage in the Asia Pacific region, we get around 26 to 30% female, and again, I think it is because of the reasons that you've said. It's more the business side of technology. It's the females that seem to do a pretty good job at bridging that gap, perhaps, and just a lot more roles and so forth involved. So, yeah.
Well, collaboration, social, right? There's a lot in SharePoint design, branding that typically transcend the other gender. Right?
Absolutely. And it's not to say that our male counterparts can't do this work. It's just that we have certain talents that we bring to the table, I think, in the collaboration space that are more natural to us. Multitasking, which I think is required in the SharePoint sector, quite frankly. You have to be good at doing that. So I think it's a good point. And here at the SharePoint conference, certainly there is a large percentage of women, somewhere around 20% attendance is female attendance at this conference, and growing. So it's very exciting. So what do you think that the Women in SharePoint organization will do to help women get into the groove of community, if you will?
So one of the things that we have as one of our kind of mantras, one of our missions as a part of the Women in SharePoint group is in itself, is to mentor and to kind of help to guide women in getting into the community. So we try a lot of getting people, encouraging them to get together, form little groups, do little mini sessions, get together, start speaking, and help each other to support.
I think that's really true, and the natural tendency we have to support each other is really useful in this community because it's such a deep technology. And Debbie, overall, do you think, and I want to ask the entire panel this, what obstacles have you encountered in your technology career or as you've come into SharePoint? As a woman, do you think there are differences or difficulties you've had to overcome?
To be honest, I don't think I've encountered too many. I don't know whether I'm a fortunate one, but I've just sort of rocked and rolled with whatever I've wanted to and taught myself whatever I've wanted to do, and I'd say that's a good thing, and I think it's all about attitude anyway, no matter what you do. So, and having the belief that you can do it. So I can't really think of anything majorly that stopped me as a female or not. So
Yes,
yeah.
it's about self-confidence.
Absolutely,
is.
believe it. You know,
Hard work
achieve
pays
it.
off.
Yeah.
You know, so I've been over 30 years in IT, and so as early days developer, I'm a recovering developer,
Yeah.
but code camps and those type of things, there weren't very many women, but it wasn't hard either. I mean, if you stick with things and if you produce, that gets recognized eventually, right? So sometimes the harder part is more the social type of things if you're balancing and not multitasking at the job, but multitasking work-life balance. And
True.
typically, if you go to the Women in Technology, Women in SharePoint, those type of conferences, or those kind of forums and luncheons that we typically have, it's usually people talking about if they're really rising, is there a glass ceiling, managing, having kids and family, being soccer mom and all that kind of stuff, along with trying to be very successful in your career.
I agree. I think the managing work-life balance is difficult, but that's what I usually say about SharePoint. We have an actual effect on how people do that by making organizations more efficient. You don't have to be tied to your desk anymore to be able to get work done, especially with the advent of 365 and other tools. So it's a great time to be a woman in technology, I think, and it is really about that hard work.
But I see as time goes on, right, there has been a more coming together of everybody, right? And even for the company we work for, we struggle with work-life balance, and it's not just for the women, right? It's the entire
Everybody,
company, and
yes.
everybody is working very, very, very hard, and then trying to figure out how to have a life as well. So
I actually think the point about the ability these days to be able to work remotely is amazing. I mean, I work from home. I have women that have returned after having children and so forth. I have a child myself, and just I can work from anywhere. I can be anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, and be able to do what I want to do. And actually, SharePoint's perfect for that. So, you know, that's a good part of it.
sometimes it takes educating some of our customers, though.
Absolutely.
I have some customers that, well, they just like to have that personal touch.
Yeah.
They do, and I think it's a balance because, you know, there isn't any replacement for being able to have one-on-one conversation with the real human being, even with video, even with Link, even with all the amazing tools we have. So it is a balancing act, but certainly a good deal of what I do, I can do from anywhere in the world, and I appreciate that. That flexibility is important. So what do you think is next for Women in SharePoint, the organization?
Oh, for the organization itself, our next steps, we've really been working to get local groups formed. And so currently we have a really thriving group in the federal area in DC, and they host a great number of events. They even have monthly meetings, so we've been really excited to see that form and grow. We have a thriving group in Denver, Colorado, and so seeing that group form and thrive, and it's been really exciting for me. We've been participating with some other conferences and events, and out of that we've had groups start to form. So I just, in the last couple of weeks, we got a group forming in Boston, and having them working towards their start date of January of 2013 to get their group up and running, and some people interested in doing them in California and other places. So we're really looking to really take it beyond a national level and get into those local areas and let the women in those areas start to form and to help support each other. And then just being able to get more word out there and go to different events and participate and help to mentor and do all of that.
That's so exciting. So if someone sees the highlights from this and they want to get involved, how do they get involved?
All you have to do, you can go out to the website. It's womeninsharepoint.org, or you can tweet. It comes to me at WomenInSP, and I can help guide you away. Or you can contact me directly, and I can help you get started and find out more information, even connect with other people in your area.
That's excellent. Yeah, I think being empowered regionally is so important.
It is so important, especially for these groups. We've noticed the Denver group and the DC group, they have different needs from a membership perspective and what they need and how they want to meet, how often they want to meet, different things that they want to do in events. And so it's really great to be able to give the local groups that flexibility to jump in and really customize their Women in SharePoint group to what their community needs.
Have you found that, Susan, with SharePoint Saturdays, that the different regions need to do different things?
Well, that's
and
one
the
of our
women in them?
premise, right, is that every SharePoint Saturday should serve its particular audience. And so their degree of how advanced are they and what their industries are, that type of thing. So that's really one of its premises, is that it shouldn't be this universal. everyone is run uniquely and individually by that particular community, and it's about serving the community. So it should be tailored to a particular region.
And
Absolutely.
we definitely based a lot of the Women in SharePoint model off the success of the SharePoint Saturday groups, and I've been involved with quite a few of those SharePoint Saturday events and seeing how they grew. And so the national board is really there as just an advisory board. Like, I'm there to help keep it going and to come out and speak and interact and group people together and introduce them and kind of do that facilitation, but it's a lot based off that SharePoint Saturday mentality.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. You know, being collaborative, being flexible, being agile in the field, I think that that's an important component of what we all do professionally and personally, and it really helps to make sure that people are having an authentically useful experience, for sure.
And I think if you canvass the folks here, particularly MVPs, and asked some of the things that help make them successful, it's their networking, and you find that networking through community. Right? So
Absolutely.
We don't do it so that we're successful, but we have become successful because we do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Debbie, if you had one piece of advice that you could give to women in your area about getting involved or about learning SharePoint, what would be that piece of advice?
I actually think it's all about having faith in your ability to do whatever you want to do, and it's coming up with that idea, it's conceiving it, believing it, and achieving it, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah, that's so true, very true. Susan, what advice would you give to folks out there?
I guess hard work pays off. You know, I mean, just stick with things, and the whole paying it forward, right? The more you help others, you get back so many more times by helping other people, that everything grows from that.
Yeah, truly being of service,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
having that attitude of what I do, I get to do because I get to be of service, and it helps someone, and if it comes back to me, that's fine, and if it doesn't, I don't actually care,
Yeah, right.
because I get a great sense of fulfillment just doing the work. I think
So to borrow Tasha's line, share the passion.
share the passion.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely. Kathy?
Mine, one of the things that I like to encourage people when they come up to me and they ask me how I got started, because I did not come from an IT background, and I tell them the biggest piece of advice I can give you is to let go of the fear that you can't learn it, that you can't do it, that you can't play a role in it, and to let go of the fear and just jump in feet first and keep going.
Absolutely. And I tell people the same thing, and I tell them, find the thing that you are enthusiastic about, right? Enthusiasm is so important. I think it's a management principle. When you find enthusiasm, you find really well-performing teams, and there's something for everyone in the SharePoint community. You know, if it thrills you to write code, you can do that. If you like talking to business people and stakeholders and figuring out business process solutions, you can do that as well. There's nothing here that you can't do if you apply yourselves.
Absolutely. Do what you love what you do.
Absolutely,
Yep.
yes. And we have 3 great examples of that here. Ladies, thank you so much for coming to our panel.
Thanks for
It
having
was
us.
amazing. And once again, if you'd like to catch highlights of this segment, check out channel 36 in your room. This is Karuana Gatimu, and you've been watching SharePoint Television. Thanks. Hi, I'm Karuana Gatimu, and welcome back to SharePoint Community Television. We're so happy you joined us all week as we interviewed distinguished members of the SharePoint community. They had so much to offer in terms of education, insights, and innovations in this amazing space. When you go home, make sure you stay engaged. Find a SharePoint Saturday event near you at the URL down below. Check out your local SharePoint users group, or get involved in Sharing is the Point. Whatever you do, make sure that you follow us on Twitter and stay engaged in the conversation. We're happy you were here. We're happy to always be involved with you. And thanks again for watching SharePoint Community Television.
Hey everybody, I'm Jared Spataro. As we close out the conference today, I just wanted to thank you for coming. Thank you for spending your time with us. We've had a wonderful time here together, whether it was in the keynote or in sessions or here in the expo hall. I think it's been a great time. We wanted to remind you to stay active in the community. We've tried to make this conference more community-oriented than ever before, and we don't want to lose that spirit as we go off for the next year. So make sure that you follow us on Twitter and stay active in your local user group if you're not already there. Once again, a big thank you to our sponsors, a big thank you to you for coming, and look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks for joining us at SPC 12.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to the SharePoint Conference.